guys, so not so long ago I asked all of you to give me some children's and like middle grade book recommendations, so today I thought I would do the same and share some of my old favourites with all of you guys. So these are just some of my favourite like middle grade-ish kind of books, but if you were like reading them with a younger child, I feel like they would also really enjoy them. All of these, I think all of them, are from my own childhood. Yeah, they're all books that I enjoyed as a kid. So the first one is called Fiddleback by Elizabeth Honey. This is actually part of a series. It's like the Stella Street series. It's based around a bunch of families that all live down the same street and they do like stuff together. I don't think this is the first book in the series, but it's the first one that I read, and it's one of those series which tends to be the case with kids books where you don't really have to read them in order because it's all like different stories just with the same characters. So this one is where they all go camping together. They go way out into the middle of the bush. There's a bunch of kids and adults as well, and different things going on with all of them. I just love the variety of characters in these books, and they introduce them like this with like a little sketch of each person, and they write a little bit about each of them, but the sketches are labeled as well. And I remember finding that really helpful as a kid, because if I got to a point later in the book where it was about a particular character and I couldn't really like remember who they were, I could just flick back to these pages and look at their picture, and that would usually make me remember what that initially said about them in the beginning. But there are these kind of sketches all the way through with little annotations, and I really enjoyed that as well. It gives me like all of the summer holiday kind of vibes. The next series I'm going to recommend to you is one that I have talked about a whole bunch on this channel, and this book I'm going to hold up isn't the first book in the series. This series I would recommend you read in order, but I'm just not holding up the first book because it's buried further into my bookshelf than this one was. But it is the Molly Moon series. This is about the like fourth book, I think, but the first one is called Molly Moon's Incredible Book of Hypnotism. It's about a girl called Molly who is an orphan. She's living in a horrible orphanage in England, and she finds a book about hypnotism and starts to realize that she has a real gift for hypnotism. So she wonders if she can use that to get herself and her best friend Rocky out of the orphanage, and ends up going on this huge adventure to New York City. And then the other books follow her on different adventures. It's just a really fantastic series. In my mind as a child, it was up there with Harry Potter, and my parents actually read the first couple books in the Molly Moon series back then as well, and they really enjoyed them too. There's all these twists and turns that happen throughout the whole series, so yeah, it's really entertaining and I love it. The next one that was another favourite of mine as a child was perhaps the first classic that I ever read, and that is Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. This is a story about a horse called Black Beauty. It's told from his point of view, which is really, really unique, and I loved that as a kid. And it follows his life. So he is bought and sold many times throughout his life, and it goes through what his life is like with each of these owners, you know, with all these different people. Some of them are lovely, some of them not so much, and he goes through a lot. So it's a really heartbreaking kind of book in places, just because this poor horse is put through so much stuff and separated from people that he loves at times, and it just really, I feel for children especially, it really just increases your empathy because you are seeing it from the horse's point of view, and it makes you think not just about animals but about how like other people feel and how other people are affected by each other's actions and things like that, because of course as a horse Black Beauty didn't have much of a say in what direction his life took at times. It's a beautiful, beautiful book and a total classic. There's a really good movie based on this book as well. The next one is another series. Oh, that just reminded me as well of another series that I want to mention. I had to go to my bookshelf and pull another book out. I will show you the one that I was going to show you first, and then I'll show you the one that I was reminded of that I nearly forgot to mention. So the first one is the Animorphs series. This is a really fantastic series. There are so many books in it. I think there are like well over 40 books in the series, but they're very quick reads, and it's about a group of friends. They find out that there are these things called yerks that are invading the earth, but the thing about them is that they're basically like little slugs from outer space, so they need a host, like a body, to be able to use. So they invade people, they like crawl into people's ears and take over their bodies, so you think that it's just like the regular old humans walking around, but some of them could have yurks in their heads, like controlling them and you know, taking over the world. So these kids find out about it happening, and they somehow gain the ability to morph into animals, so they can like turn into different animals for a specific amount of time, which allows them to investigate the alien invasion, you know, more like undercover. I was absolutely obsessed with this series as a kid. This was also a TV show, which if you go watch it now is funny because it's very like early 90s. If you're someone that grew up reading it as well, I will tell you that my favourite character was Rachel. Totally had a crush on Tobias, who I won't say anything in case you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but he was cool. And just, yeah, I still reread these books. You guys might know, if you've been around on my channel for a while, that I've been collecting these from secondhand stores, and I've gotten like quite a good amount of them now. I'm still missing heaps, but I keep my eye out for them because I would love to have them all. So the book that I was reminded of when I saw this one is another series, because it's a similar like length book and everything, and that is the Replica series by Marilyn Kay. This series I was also obsessed with. Like, I wished I could have known the people in this book in real life and stuff. It was one of those for me. I never really owned any of the books. This is the only one I have, but it's one that I picked up like more recently at a secondhand store. I used to just get them out from the library. So basically it's about this girl called Amy who finds out that she is actually a clone. So there's a whole bunch of different Amys. They kept all their names the same, so like they're all called Amy, but they all have a number. So this series is about Amy number 7, and the thing with the Amys is that they're all like genetically perfect. So they're really fast, really strong, really smart. They learn things really quickly, so they're like good at everything, which of course kind of like puts a target on their back a little bit, because it's really suspicious to be really amazing at everything. And there's people that are after them because obviously a cloned you know, group of people that are like really good at everything could have a lot of uses in the wrong hands. So she's got all the usual middle school kind of stuff that she's dealing with, like friends and boys and school, but then she also has, you know, these bad people that are after her quite a lot. So I found this series really like gripping. Another book that I absolutely adored as a kid, which actually is just the author in general. All of her books are fantastic. A lot of you would have grown up reading her books as well if you're, you know, around the same age as me or younger even, because she's still writing them, I'm pretty sure, but that is Jacqueline Wilson. And this one was a particular favorite of mine. It is Lola Rose. This is a like standalone book about a girl who, her and her mum and her little brother run away from their dad because he was quite an abusive husband. They end up wanting some money so they can get away from him for a little bit, so they're kind of like on the run. They all change their names and stuff. It's really intense. But Lola just really wishes that she could actually be someone else. She's really unhappy, but she's really into scrapbooking and stuff. I got this for Christmas in 2003, so I've had this book for 16 years now. It's really, really good. I highly recommend reading this one if you haven't read it already, but all of Jacqueline Wilson's books are fantastic. She deals with, they're all like kids books, but they deal with these really difficult situations that maybe don't get spoken about with children, even though so many children are affected by things like this. So I think her books are really important, but they're, yeah, really, really awesome reads. The next one is another series, and I love this series. I think people who were children many years before I was a child also love the series. Like, it's been around a long time. Kids today are still reading them. They've been recently re-releasing this series in box sets and stuff, which is awesome. On my practicum I was talking recently about how I was in a school. It was like a intermediate slash, which would be like a middle school, for a few weeks, and one of the girls there I was talking to mentioned that this is like a favourite series for her as well, and that is The Babysitter's Club by Anne M. Martin. So good. It's about a group of girls who start a babysitting club, and it's just all of their adventures and all of their friendship. I always love asking people if they've read the series, like, who's your favorite character, because the girls in it are all so different from one another. My favorite, I think, is Claudia. I just thought she was always cool because she's real arty. She like makes a lot of her own jewelry, and she also has like a junk food habit, like she stashes junk food around her room, which always just seemed really cool to me as a kid, so I love Claudia. But anyway, great series. The final book that I'm going to mention is one that is an absolute classic as well, and that is Matilda by Roald Dahl. This, if you don't know the story of Matilda, is about a little girl whose family really doesn't appreciate her. She's quite neglected at home, but she ends up going to school and has this teacher called Miss Honey who really realizes that Matilda is special and treasures her and helps her learn and everything. It's really, really fun to read as well. I think any of Roald Dahl's books are like just really funny to read, and always like a little bit sinister in a way as well. So I love this one. Again, the movie is fantastic also. It's like a total classic. Those are all of my favorite children's like middle grade book recommendations. If you've read any of them, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching this. I'll see you with another video in a couple of days. Bye.